Long ago, in a great and powerful kingdom, a single law ruled them all, and breaking it could cost your life. Inside the palace, the king's word was final. No one dared disobey. Within those walls lived a young queen named Esther, hiding a secret. She was one of God's people, and no one knew. A decree had already been set in motion by Haman, the king's highest official, to destroy them all. Only her cousin Mordecai knew. He warned her to keep it hidden. Until the right moment, Mordecai stayed close, watching, waiting, trusting. Esther walked through the halls of the palace, unaware. But everything was about to change. Soon after, Mordecai sent word, revealing the decree against her people. Esther made her decision. She would go before the king. But in his court, the king calls you. You don't go without permission. A dangerous choice. Approach without permission, and you could lose your life. Haman, the king's advisor, had the king's trust, and that made him very dangerous. He used that power to demand respect. Haman sat in power, watching, and every person who passed was expected to bow before him. One day, Mordecai stood at the palace gate. He refused to bow to Haman. When Mordecai would not bow, it angered Haman, and that anger began to grow. What started with one man was no longer enough for Haman. His hatred spread beyond Mordecai, and he would stop at nothing until they were all gone. So, he went to the king, claiming there were people who refused to obey his laws, and convinced him to sign a decree to destroy them. The king believed him, and sealed the decree in his name. There was no turning back. Haman's plan was now official. The message reached Esther, and the danger could not be ignored. As she read the decree, her heart dropped. This was no small threat. This was her people. And now their lives hung in the balance. She looked at herself. Not just a queen, but one of them. The crown she once wore with honor now felt like a weight she could not escape. Beyond the palace walls, she remembered every warning Mordecai had given her. For the first time, Esther realizes staying silent is no longer safe for her people. Outside, fear spread through the city like a shadow. Whispers of what was coming reached even the most innocent. She walks the length of her chamber, her thoughts restless, knowing that whatever she chooses will change everything. In the quiet of the night, she turns to God, seeking the strength she does not have on her own. Beyond her door, the king's command is already moving forward. She pauses at the threshold of the throne room, knowing that one step forward could cost her life. No summons has been given, no invitation offered. Yet, she stands there, choosing to go anyway. She turns away from the splendor of the palace, leaving behind the garments of comfort and safety. The jewels of a queen lie before her, but she sets them aside, unwilling to hide behind them any longer. She chooses simplicity, not as weakness, but as a quiet truth of who she really is. And with nothing but courage to carry her, Esther steps forward to face the king. She stands alone, knowing there is no one who can take this step for her. The throne room waits in silence, a place where one wrong move could mean death. With each step, she moves closer to a moment that cannot be undone. There is no turning back now, only the choice to keep going. Beyond these doors stands the king, and the risk she has chosen to face. Every eye could turn, every breath could stop, but still, she walks forward. She steadies herself, knowing there will be no second chance once she steps inside. From within, the king's voice calls out, unaware of who stands at his door. She pushes the doors open and steps into a room where she does not belong. For a moment, she stands in the doorway, seen, exposed, and completely uninvited. The king looks up, his expression shifting as he realizes who has dared to enter. Haman turns, and his confidence begins to fade. Esther steps into the throne room, fully seen and fully uninvited. The king was surprised to see her standing there before him. She lowers herself, waiting, knowing her life now rests in his hands. For a moment, the room holds its breath as the king rises from his throne. Then, instead of anger, he steps toward her. His voice no longer harsh, but gentle. She looks up, meeting the king's gaze with unwavering, quiet courage. "What troubles you, Queen Esther?" he asks. Esther responded, "If it pleases the king, I have a request." The king's hand tightens around the scepter, his knuckles turning white. Then the king rises from his throne, and the room grows still. Esther holds her breath, bracing for the outcome of her plea. In that moment, she stands completely alone, with everything at stake. She prepares to speak the truth that will change the empire forever. For a heartbeat, she hesitates, then chooses courage over fear. All eyes remain on the king, waiting for what he will do next. Esther freezes, her breath hitching in the silent, tense chamber. The king rises slowly, his hand gripping the golden scepter. He extends the scepter toward her, and in that moment, her life is spared. She, knowing everything now, depends on her next words. She bows low, but instead of revealing the danger, she waits. She makes a surprising request. "If it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come to a banquet I have prepared." The king studies her for a moment, then agrees, curious about what she's planning. Nearby, Haman watches with quiet satisfaction, unaware he's just stepped into something he cannot control. The banquet hall glows with the light of 1,000 candles. But tonight, something far greater is about to be revealed. As they sit together, the king leans in, waiting to hear what she will say. Haman drinks deeply, pleased with himself, unaware he's being drawn exactly where Esther wants him. The king turns to Esther, waiting for her answer. But Esther pauses, choosing her moment carefully. "Come again tomorrow, and then I will tell you everything." The king watches her closely, curiosity settling in. He will hear the rest tomorrow. With a satisfied smile, Haman strides out of the palace, already planning Mordecai's end. The second night arrives, heavy with unspoken, dangerous secrets. Once the king has taken his seat, Esther steps forward and takes her place at the table, her gaze steady, fixed on the king. The king leans forward. "What is it, Esther? Tell me, and it will be yours." Esther rises slowly. The room falls silent as every eye turns to her. "If I have found favor with you, my king, spare my life and the lives of my people, for I am one of them." The king freezes, the weight of her words settling over the room. Silence grips the room as the truth is revealed. The plan to destroy them all, now laid bare before him. Then Esther points, her voice steady. "The enemy is this wicked man!" And in an instant, the king rises in fury and storms from the room, leaving the court frozen in fear. All his pride gone, Haman collapses to his knees, begging for mercy. But when the king returns and sees him near the queen, his anger ignites. The king gives the order, "Take him away." The guards seize Haman, dragging him from the royal chamber. Haman is led to the very gallows he built for Mordecai. Mordecai is honored before all the people. The next morning, the king seals a new decree, allowing God's people to defend themselves. Messengers ride across the land, spreading the king's decree to every corner of the empire. When the day comes, God's people took their stand, ready to defend their homes and their lives. A great battle rages and they stand firm, refusing to fall. And when it is over, they are victorious. The streets of Susa erupt in joyous, triumphant celebration. From that day on, God's people celebrate Purim, the day a hidden queen changed the fate of a nation. Esther watches the celebration from the balcony, her heart finally at peace. Below her, the city roared, her name echoing through the streets. She stands above them, no longer hidden, her courage now seen by all. She waves to the people cheering her name. At last, there is peace. Esther smiles, knowing her people are finally, truly safe. And the story is written, not just of courage, but of a God who was working all along, even when he could not be seen.